All right, we're started.
We're live.
We're live. 52 with Jules, my tattoo artist. She's amazing. We're here at the studio, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Urban Studios?
Yes.
Urban Tattoo?
Urban Tattoo and Piercing.
Are you, how long have you been here at this tattoo parlor shop?
So I've been here 5 years, but I've been out of my apprenticeship for 3. So I did my apprenticeship here and everything.
Okay. And so apprenticeship is just, you got to log, get hours under your belt, or just start learning your craft, or kind of how does that work?
Yeah, so it actually varies from state to state. A lot of states will have like certain hours and certain like requirements that you have to do to become a full licensed tattoo artist. In the state of Texas, we actually don't have anything like that. So it is completely up to the discretion of the shop and the person that you're apprenticing under, and stuff like that. So it's kind of anything goes, which can be good in some ways, but also can be kind of scary in others. So, but yeah, so I'm at least here. You're basically done when your mentor says you're done.
Nice.
The freedom of Texas.
Yeah, no regulation.
Crazy.
We don't want our tattoo people getting certified or anything.
Yeah, no, that's actually something that's pretty crazy, is that we don't have independent licenses. We operate under the business license. So as long as the zoning is correct, technically anyone can open a tattoo studio.
Dang.
And
Okay.
hire people to work in it. So you definitely need to do your research before you get tattooed, for sure.
So you didn't start in Texas, though. You started in New Mexico?
No, I moved here to have a better opportunity to apprentice.
Okay.
So I moved here August of 2019 and started here at September 2019.
Dang. And then you just walked in the door, or did you do some research on the place that you wanted to be?
Yeah, so I was new to the area, so I just researched the best tattoo studios in Dallas-Fort Worth, and Urban's was one of the first that came up. So I just started looking through everybody's Instagram pages and then all of their artists' Instagram portfolios, and then made lists of the tattoo studios I was most interested in going to. And Urban's was very, very, very high up there. And it coincidentally was like close to where I live too, because I didn't know where I was going to be working yet. And just
That's clutch.
started showing up one by one.
I definitely, just coming in here for the first time, I was like, oh wow, this is really comforting environment. You know, they got the movie theater in there, and the music in here, and all the TVs play like a bunch of like viral fail videos.
Yeah.
You know? And they're just like mesmerizing to stare at while you're getting tattooed. So it's a cool place.
Yeah, I don't think I've really stepped foot in like a tattoo shop before. Maybe like a small one, but like never. It is like interesting to me, and I can see why people are kind of addicted to getting tattoos and the environment of it.
Yeah.
When did you get your first tattoo?
Technically, well, like professional or not?
Let's go under the table, not professional.
Okay. Yeah, so I was 16. I had a friend that got me into stick and poke tattooing. And his friend was a diabetic, so we were just using their insulin needles because they were like sterile. So yeah, I did a stick and poke on the side of my foot so that hopefully my parents wouldn't see it, and they didn't. But yeah, I got bored like partway through, so I just have 2 lines on the side of my foot. That's it. I never finished it.
Stick. And so was that like if people were not going to go to a tattoo shop, they're going to do like a homemade tattoo, like the stick and poke method was like the best way to go about it, I guess?
No, I mean, not necessarily. People will go for like, especially if you're a minor, homemade tattoos and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like a stick and poke is even like a step below. Not necessarily. I mean, there are people that do it professionally and they do amazing, amazing work. I have a huge respect for that. But yeah, there's no machine or anything. It was like an insulin needle stuck into a pencil eraser, and we were using like India ink and thread. Yeah, so
No worry about any sort of contamination.
no, we're like, oh, the needle's
Just living
sterile, so
life.
it's fine. Like,
Jeez.
knowing what I know now, it was not safe. But
No, not safe, not. Hey, but it's that's kind of how you got started.
yeah, well,
story.
I mean, sort of.
Okay, so then after that, what was your next tattoo?
So I got this butterfly tattoo, which is eventually going to be a cover up, but I got that in a shop in Albuquerque that my mom signed for when I was 17.
Really?
Because that is legal in New Mexico. It's not legal in Texas, but
You have to be 18
Interesting.
to get a tattoo.
Mhm.
Gotcha. And so I guess when you were 16 and you got that first stick and poke, was that like, okay, maybe I want to do this as a career path, or was this something you had already decided on when you were younger, when you were like, hey, this is something I really want to do?
Yeah, when I was 12, I started drawing all over myself and then started drawing all over a bunch of other people. And that was around the time that I first started thinking that this would be something that I wanted to do as a career. And then when I was 15, my mom helped me launch a business doing henna tattoos. So I was doing that, like vending and stuff like that. I had a little spot in a boutique that I was renting, doing henna out of. And that was when I knew that I was going to absolutely love tattooing, because I would be doing it for like 12 hours straight in the heat of July at festivals and like barely taking breaks or anything because I was just so in my zone. So it started pretty early on. So with the stick and poke tattooing, I knew better than to start like messing with a machine, because I'd already done my research on apprenticeships, and I knew that if you started with a machine outside of apprenticeship like environment, you're less likely to be taken on, because then you're picking up all these bad habits that they have to like kind of help you unlearn, which is harder than starting from scratch. So I knew better than to be picking up a machine. I should have known better than to be doing the stick and poke too, but I had chosen to not do that just so that my chances were higher at being picked up.
Yeah. I remember the henna tattoos being really like popular during like high school.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Where, I guess, why was that a thing, or like what's the origin of the henna tattoos?
Yeah, so they are from India and other places in the Middle East, and they're like a ceremonial art. So you see them a lot with weddings. They have different traditions surrounding it, like hiding the husband's name in the henna, usually like the hands and the feet. And it's like an ornamental ceremonial thing. They also, I've heard they had a tradition where the wife doesn't have to do any housework until the henna fades, which is fun. I'm not sure how true that is actually, now that I think about it, but that's one that I've heard.
Okay.
When you were doing the henna tattoos out there in the heat, were you charging people for them?
Mm-hmm.
You were? Okay.
Yeah,
so it was a full-on kind of small business.
Yeah, I was vending. That's mostly what I did. It was just like festivals and later on tattoo expos and stuff like that.
Wow. I mean, so when someone comes up to you, this kind of maybe going forward a little bit, but how do you like manage the relationship with a client on like what they want versus what you think's best?
In tattooing or in henna?
In tattooing or henna, if it was kind of similar.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of like design and composition when you're working with a client is like a lot of problem solving between like what the client wants and what's actually realistic. I don't know. I feel like the best thing that I found is just to be really honest and explain like my reasoning behind why I don't think that's a good idea, or why we need to pivot directions, or different stuff like that. And I've been really fortunate that pretty much everybody that books with me is very easy to work with. So
I definitely noticed that too, because I came to you with my eagle and tiger, and I was like, I want it on the front of my thigh right here, and you're like, oh, okay, well, really, you can't do that because of the muscle right here. It's just not going to be the best.
Yeah.
But if I was a stubborn client, I was like, no, I want it right here.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being bad, and then we're all pissed off. And
well, I don't know, in that situation, you try as hard as you can to get it to like work and look right. But yeah, it's not always ideal depending on.
Yeah. You explained it very well, and it was understandable. So
what I guess in that process of like deciding, okay, someone's trying to figure out what tattoo they want or where they want it, what are kind of like the variables that you think of where you will give a little bit of resistance and say, hey, I think we should pivot another direction? Is it skin color? Is it how much muscle they have, or how like firm the body is? Like I don't know. I don't have any tattoos. I'm a clean slate, so a lot of this is pretty foreign to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is like sizing and aging. I feel like that's the biggest thing that you kind of run into issues with people wanting their tattoos super, super, super small, or like super minimalistic, to a point that it can almost be unrealistic for like aging, because you can see really small, like really delicate tattoos online, but they're a fresh tattoo, right? They haven't aged 10 years. So I think that's probably the number one concern, is getting people to kind of compromise on size, especially if they're not somebody that's a heavy tattoo collector and they're just wanting something very small and delicate. I would say that, yeah, is the biggest thing. But then you also think about composition. A successful tattoo is going to be one that you can read from across the room. So you should be able to tell what it is from like 10 feet away, right? So that's a big one. And then also too, like the flow and the fit of the tattoo are going to be the biggest design factors. So the flow is the way that it flows with the body and the muscle structure and flatters the placement that it's on, and the fit is how it fits on the body. So you can think of it the same way that you think about like how your clothes fit. Like it should be like a flattering fit to the body. It fills the space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally does make sense. And I was always curious too, because I lived in Nashville for 4 years, and it seemed like everyone there had a freaking tattoo. And especially working as a personal trainer, it's like really interesting to see like how the muscles contract and how the shape of the tattoo kind of changes throughout.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to be like a bodybuilder and just like put on a bunch of tissue and like really grow their size, if they already had a tattoo, would it kind of distort over time if like their muscles grow a ton? And I guess same thing if they were to shrink, like do you see a lot of like change in the tattoo over time because of that?
You can, for sure. I feel like it's mostly really, really, really drastic weight changes where the tattoo is most affected. Like, for example, like pregnancy. Like if you have a tattoo on your stomach and then you get pregnant and then it like, your skin rapidly expands and then shrinks, that will definitely affect the tattoo. In general, like gradual changes are not that big of a deal. Your skin is like elastic, so it will grow or shrink with you, and the tattoo is in the skin, so it's like the same thing. But you do have to kind of like take that into account, like design wise. Like when we were like planning on your thigh, like we were wanting to put everything in places that like flatter the muscles underneath it. So that's the goal. I will say that people who are like into bodybuilding and stuff like that can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to design for, because you do have like lots of like ridges and bumps and different stuff like that.
And maybe some roid rage when they're coming in here.
Yeah, right. I don't think I've tattooed anyone on steroids yet, but I've heard that their skin is really hard to work with.
Especially if they're like, hey, I want a full back piece. They take their shirt off and it's just zits and back.
And all the muscles too. Like you have to like, if they want a portrait, but it's like in a place that's not. Yeah,
big old back.
That's not flat. That's harder.
Interesting. Okay.
So this makes me think about like if you were to get a fresh tattoo and then like scrape it on the ground or something like that, does it grow? Does the ink somehow stay in that spot?
I think it would depend on whether or not like the scratches to the second layer of the skin or not.
Okay.
So I think it can,
so
but
you can
depends.
salvage it.
Yeah, depends on the injury.
Interesting. That was a little aside, but let's get back to the story at hand here. So after the henna tattoo, and then you finally find this place, and you come here, being kind of an apprentice. What were some highs and lows from your time as an apprentice?
Yeah, I think the highs were, first of all, getting the apprenticeship, because at this point I've been talking about it for, I don't know, like 9 years.
No way.
I'd been talking about tattooing for a very, very long time. So it was very surreal, like finally getting to a point where like, okay, I'm taking steps in this direction. And then tattooing itself, that was also like surreal. Like it's just like something I've been looking forward to and working towards and talking about and trying to do for so long. So it's definitely a high. And then the lows, and somebody had told me too, when I was doing tattoo expos, I'd like ask people about like getting into the industry and stuff I needed to know and stuff I needed to be doing. And they're like, yeah, your apprenticeship is one of the hardest times in your life, mentally, like financially, emotionally. So that was definitely hard, like not having any income for about 2 years or close to it.
You're working for free as an apprentice? Really? Okay.
Yeah. And then I was probably working between like 45 to like 60 hours a week, depending on if the artists are tattooing late, then I was staying with them and stuff like that. So but I also knew that in advance. So after I dropped out of college, I saved for 2 years to be able to not have to have a second job on top of apprenticing, which a lot of people do, which is crazy to me. But they do it. They make it work for sure.
So those 2 years where you weren't making any money, that's like kind of the litmus test if you actually want to do this job, you know,
Yeah.
this career for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the apprenticeship definitely weeds a lot of people out.
Is that just the relationship of the apprenticeship where it's like, hey, this is just a rite of passage, you're going to come in and learn. You're not going to make any money though.
Right.
Like, could they change that to where like, hey, here's an hourly wage, or are you like a 1099, I guess, at that point? Or are you even like on the books since you're not making any money to begin with?
Right. I mean, I guess you technically could. I don't know. There's like lots of controversy and lots of like different opinions and stuff, and some people will actually charge you to apprentice. But think about like going to like college or something like that. You're not getting paid. You're paying for your education.
Yeah.
When you come out of tattooing, you sometimes have a better career than you would with a college degree. So I think it's fair to exchange your labor for knowledge. I think is a really fair trade-off.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, compared to like starting your career with no debt or stuff like that. So, and there's lots of different opinions about whether or not it's ethical to charge people for their apprenticeships. People have varying opinions on that. But I think if you want it badly enough, you'll find a way to make it work.
Oh yeah.
When you first started your apprenticeship, did you have a certain style that you started with, and has that changed over time?
Yeah, when I was coming in and showing people my portfolios, I did a lot of illustrative art at the time, and there was like a little bit of realism in it, but realism really frustrated me because it never looked like the way that I wanted it to, because I wasn't practicing it enough. And so when people would ask, I'd be like, I love doing realism, but I'm terrible at it. And shortly after I got here and was drawing, because I was drawing, like, I don't know, between 30 and 40 hours a week during the apprenticeship, my skill level really elevated really quickly just from having that consistency. And so when I actually started tattooing on the fake skin, like actually that one up there of like the skull and the person, I think was like my third or fourth tattoo ever.
That's crazy art on the wall.
And it's not my design though. Chucky found that on the internet and picked it out for me. But as soon as I started tattooing, it was very apparent that realism was like my niche. So yeah, it's definitely, I guess, like evolved, but it's been within realism mostly.
Dang. I mean, it's just kind of, it's amazing to hear your story in the sense like you knew what you wanted to do and you took the steps to do it, and you traded 2 years of no income for this job. I mean, that's pretty rare if someone figures out what they want to do right when they're 16. Is that I mean, you've always kind of been artistic though, and reading and drawing in that sense.
Yeah.
How does tattooing compare to other art forms?
Yeah,
would you say?
That's a good question. I'm not even entirely sure how to answer that specifically because it's something I can't really put into words. But when I was doing the henna, I just loved working with skin, or even just doing the Sharpie prior. And I couldn't explain it. I actually used to get grounded for drawing on myself growing up, which is really funny to me now. But
that's crazy.
And people would ask me like, why can't you just paint on a canvas? Like, why? I don't know what it is about skin.
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe just that it's like more like a living piece of art. It's more, I mean, all of your art I feel like is something bigger than yourself in general. But when there's like another person involved, it, I don't know, literally is. It's like I mean, let's think about like your tattoo. It's like a collaboration, right? Like neither of us would have come up with it on our own.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. It's just so weird how the tattoo, you kind of have like some kernel of an idea, and then you collaborate, and then it becomes this thing. You're like, dang, that just fits. It's like, wow, this is in our minds, and it came to be. It's amazing.
It evolves, and it's just I don't know. It's meant to be. It happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, spiritual AF.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, also if you just think about it from a marketing perspective, it's like this is the art form you're gonna do. It's literally walking around on the streets every day.
Yes.
Everyone has it on them.
Yes.
And I've had many people come up to me. They're like, "Dang, sick tattoo, sick eagle. Where'd you get that?" Like, you gotta check out Jules over here.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think that like I guess you've kind of been in the industry now for 9 years, would you say?
5.
5.
Well,
Okay.
I mean 3 outside my apprenticeship, but yes, 5 working in tattoo industry.
From just 5 years is a relatively short amount of time, but have you seen just like some micro evolutions in the styles of tattoos that people are coming in and getting? I know we're in kind of a small sample size in Texas, but like from first year to where you're at now, have you seen kind of a shift in people are coming in asking for different things, or they want different things on their body, or has it been pretty consistent or just super random?
Yeah, there will be like different like tattoo trends that you see come and go. So like the let them was a big thing online. So
Let them?
I don't
what is that?
remember. I
TikTok
would have
trends
to
for
look it up.
tattoos.
Yeah. It's like if people want to, leave you or mistreat you. I don't remember. I'm probably doing a terrible job summarizing because the original like little written piece is actually really pretty. It's very poetic, but it's just like let people do what they're going to do and let go of people that are not good for you or don't value you. Yeah.
I thought you meant like let the tattoo artist just do something. I was like, what is this trend?
That sounds cool.
So it's like a little maybe poem of like.
Yeah, it's like lettering.
Okay.
So that's one we've gotten a lot. Fine line is very in style right now, especially for women, like the fine line floral. Cyber sigillism is one that's like a Gen Z kind of version of like tribal.
Say that one more time. Cyber what?
Cyber sigillism.
Cyber sigil. I've never even heard that term before. So what is that
would
exactly?
Like a sigil, like some sort of like magical kind of, I don't even know.
I think like tribal, but like cyberpunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds kind of cool.
That's a big one. Tramp stamps are coming back in style.
Really?
Yeah. You're kind of seeing like the 90s trends come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tramp stamps.
Have you ever done any QR codes or like barcodes?
Luckily not so far. I actually think that I might have done a barcode in my apprenticeship. I have not done a QR code, but Chucky did one time and it didn't work.
No.
But it was an experiment. It was on an apprentice, so she knew what she was getting herself into.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Do you yeah, I guess with that right there, like as an apprentice, do they kind of use you as like a blank slate sometimes? Like, hey,
Yes.
I want to try this tattoo. Give me your leg.
Yes. I was very fortunate being here that I was allowed to say no if I really didn't want something. But yes, there's definitely an element of that. Every time Chucky would make new stencil stuff, he would shave my arm and try the stencil stuff on me. So you're definitely like you're a guinea pig, you're a scapegoat, you're the main
Earning your stripes.
Yep.
Yep.
Everything under the sun.
That's crazy. Okay, so what's the weirdest tattoo you've ever given?
Weirdest tattoo I've ever given. Probably I did a scorpion in an armpit.
Oh.
Yeah. That one, that's actually the only armpit that I've ever tattooed. So that's the weirdest placement.
Oh,
That would.
Jesus.
I feel like that would hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, so sensitive. I remember coming up here. There was a guy with a tattoo under his armpit.
Oh.
I think it was a car air freshener, and he's like,
Oh my.
I'm getting an onion on the other one."
That's just.
I do not remember that.
You don't remember that guy?
No, that's crazy.
He was chatting me up for a little bit, but yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's foul.
I guess, do you have a favorite tattoo that you've done? I guess it's pretty hard to.
Okay, so your leg is actually pretty up there.
There we go.
Yeah, by the time we finish, it's also going to be my first leg sleeve too. So
I'm excited.
I think other than that, the seahorse is a big one.
Oh, I've seen that one. That one's sick. It's probably up here, right?
Well, if the TVs were on, then
yeah.
they'd be flipping through. But the seahorse is one because that frame was so much freaking work.
So crazy.
It's like it's got like 5 or 6 different colors per like piece of filigree. So just that we were able to take our time and really install it well. And then actually one that I haven't posted yet that I just did on Saturday, it's probably a new favorite. It's probably the best pet portrait that I've done so far.
Really?
I say
portrait.
pet portrait.
Yeah.
Dog, cat.
It's a cat.
Cat.
Yes.
Okay.
Cat named Cooper. It's very cute.
Nice.
Koopa.
I had a few questions too. Have you ever turned some away from a tattoo? Like they come in here, they're wanting something, you're like, I'm not going to do that. Or maybe I can refer you to someone else. Have you ever been presented with a scenario like that before?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another way that we're fortunate here at Urbans is that we have the right to do that. So if it doesn't, like align like morally, or like it's just a placement that you're not comfortable with, or you think it's a bad idea and you don't want your name on it, you have the right to be able to do that. The cool thing about working here too is that so many people do have different like styles and specialties and stuff that they're willing to do that normally I can just refer them to somebody else in this studio, which is awesome. But for example, like I would never do like a swastika on somebody, or like anything like racist, or anything that just doesn't align with my ideology. I'm able to turn people away or like refer them to somebody else if it's just not my art style or different stuff like that. So
have you gotten someone in here asking for a swastika?
No, not so far.
Okay.
Thank God.
You can curb stomp them with those
right.
boots you got.
Absolutely.
That reminds me of that one story about the baker in Colorado. Do you remember that?
Yeah. They wanted the cake or something.
Yeah.
They told them no.
I don't even know what the ending was for that, but it just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
It's like a huge like Supreme Court case that it went all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That was a long time
I think
ago.
they ruled in the favor of the baker eventually.
They did?
They
Okay.
took them all the way. But yeah.
So you don't have to do something if you don't want to.
Well, yeah. I mean, you
provide a service.
That's right, because at the end of the day, like, this is permanent and this has your name on it. And so if you don't feel comfortable with that, like, you should be completely within your rights to be like, fuck no, like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, so tattoos are permanent. For the rest of your life, you're going to have this piece of art on you, which for many people, it scares a lot of people away. But there's something like beautiful about how permanent it is.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like we're all going to die.
Right.
And it's like, let's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but do you kind of get where I'm coming from on that?
Yeah. It's like a lifelong commitment. It's not an eternal commitment.
Exactly.
Eventually your skin's going to decompose and, it's really not forever. It's just the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's if you don't get it covered up or lasered off or.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Doesn't the laser hurt like 10 times more?
It's supposed to, yeah.
Didn't you say that Pete Davidson got all of his tattoos removed?
Yeah, I think he's getting them all lasered off.
It's crazy. Yeah.
He had a bunch of like face tattoos, I could have sworn, or maybe one or two of them.
Maybe. I know he had a lot on his arms, like just kind of.
Yeah, full sleeves and
small
stuff.
kind of deals. And
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. Because does it remove it completely?
I think it can.
Okay.
But it takes like multiple sessions and it depends on like the pigment color and like the particle size of the ink and different stuff like that. So
It's probably expensive too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's expensive and it's painful. Actually, my friend, that's a piercer, she just started getting some of hers lasered, and she said it's like the recovery, like the soreness after, that's been the worst.
No good.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like the permanency of the tattoo. I mean, there's something about it where it's just like, all right, let's just do it. At least for me, it was like, I'm going to do it. I only live once. And it was kind of liberating. It's just like, I want it. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
So.
Do you get a lot of first time tattoo people?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you, if someone came in here pretty anxious, a little nervous, they're kind of in that, they're not all the way in yet. Like they got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. How do you, I guess, communicate with them about like, hey, this is going to be all right. Like trust the process.
Yeah. You
came in here for a reason. Like, how would you go about handling something like that?
Yeah, I think it really just depends on the context and like what the issue is. If they're not sure exactly what they want, then I would just recommend them like coming back when they've like given a little bit more thought. Yeah, because that's the biggest thing is like choosing the design and committing to it. So I think in some cases people just aren't ready quite yet to like full send it. Like if they need to put in a little bit more consideration. As to like, if they're anxious that they're going to regret it, then I wouldn't recommend getting tattooed quite yet. Other than that, yeah, sometimes people are more anxious about the pain. Sometimes people are more anxious about the permanence. I feel like when people seek me out based off my portfolio, I think that's a good indicator of like whether or not like our art styles are going to align. So there's a certain amount of like trust involved. Like, okay, you've seen the work that I do or that I've done so far, so can you trust me to like make something beautiful for you?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I felt that way too because Austin recommended.
Guevara?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, him and his brother have gotten tattooed by Jules a bunch, and he's like, you should check her out. And I checked out your page. I was like, dang, that's sick.
Oh,
And then I'm
thank
like,
you.
let's go. So I went there. But I feel like the pain of the tattoo is very anxiety,
yeah.
generating.
It can be, yeah.
It's like when you know you're going to sit down for like a whole day,
Mm-hmm.
and then that first pain, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's
kind
like
of
anticipatory pain.
hey, you kind of have to go to a different place during the tattoo.
Yeah.
And kind of like zen out, really.
Yeah.
Because what if you like flinch? Like,
I've
let's
done
say you're
that
doing
before.
like my hamstring and like, you know, you hit a sensitive spot and I move and then you go, zoop. Like, does that happen?
Well, the flinching definitely happens. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but you just get to a point as an artist where you just know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, you can almost kind of anticipate it most of the time. And then second of all, like, yeah, there's actually only one time that happened and I made a dot outside of the tattoo. And it was like close enough that I was able to just thicken it up a little bit.
It's a new freckle.
Yeah, right. There was one time though that my client was like moving up in the chair and he ended up smacking my tattoo machine and tattooed a dot on his finger.
Oh,
I was like horrified. I was like, oh my gosh. But we kind of just like, he was cool about it. We kind of just joked. We're like, oh, you get more for your money. Yay. Now he looks like a tattoo artist. We call those party dots.
Party dots.
Yeah.
Do you think that like tattoos ultimately end up like really matching the person?
Yes.
So like with Jack, for example, like I guess first of all, like none of our family has any tattoos. So we've never really been exposed to anyone close who has tattoos. And so I think you started off with the Texas on the back, right?
Yeah, I got a little outline of Texas on, I think it was on St. Patrick's Day, like 5 years ago or something. I was drunk and I knew I wanted a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I went in and I was like sweating my ass off. I was so nervous, but yeah, I got it done.
And then you got the spine and then you got the left thigh.
Yep.
And so
This was the first one. I was like, oh, that's real.
But like now I can see how a lot of these tattoos like totally match like your personality now. And like if you were to just show me that from the beginning, I would have been like, I don't know how that makes any sense. But
yeah,
now that it's on your body, it's like, okay, that's a pretty good fit. Do you see like, I guess, how would you navigate like trying to find a fit for maybe someone who's like trying to seek out a tattoo? Like they don't know where to start. They don't know what they want because there's so many different things you can do. Like how would you kind of guide someone on doing research to figure out what they like?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things on that. First of all, you're talking about like Jack's tattoos, like matching him after he's gotten them. I've seen that a lot. And that's really bizarre to me because I can't really explain that. Like when I sit down to do a consultation with people, a lot of the time it's the first time I've met them. I talk to them for 10 minutes and then we do the tattoo. And then when all is said and done, it looks like it belongs there. Like it was always supposed to be there. And that's
weird.
crazy to me because like, I don't know this person. I can't be like, oh, what would match this person well when I'm designing? It just, I don't know. It's like the meant to be kind of a thing. Like it just ends up like looking like it was always supposed to be there. Which is really mind-blowing to me because that's not anything I feel like I'm doing. Weird. It's like something bigger than me, right? So I can't really explain that. But as far as people like, not sure what they want at all. Say Pinterest used to be a great resource. It's all like pretty much AI anymore. But just looking online at different styles that you like. I think that's the biggest starting place is like you're talking about earlier that you're not even sure about like different tattoo styles and what they're called. Like if you're at that point, then that would be the first thing I would recommend is kind of figuring out like what you're drawn to most. And then you can just bring those things to your artist. You're like, okay, I like this kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
And these types of styles and stuff like that and kind of go from there. I would say that's the ultimate starting place. And then if you come to urbans, like we have somebody for every style. So once people come in, they're like, I want this kind of a thing. We're like, okay, this person's going to be best for that style. And then we'll get you set up with the right artist for your, style or aesthetic or whatever specifically.
What do you think would go good on me?
I don't know.
If you could pick, if I was a blank slate.
Yeah.
And I was just laying on that table right there.
You are a blank slate right now.
Yeah. Just based off of our 30 minutes so far, Like, what do you think?
Okay, so
And I'll tell you if you're close, because I have thought about this a few times.
Okay, so I feel like you would either be like fine line realism, like the black and gray realism, where you have like the little like, I don't know, like Icarus or like Da Vinci's sketches and stuff like that, with like the fine lines in between. So either that, or you would be like full on American traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me like a bulldog on my calf. Yeah, I used to. I've always been drawn towards like the Polynesian tattoos, the tribal tattoos.
I would not have guessed that.
No, like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson was like one of my big
Mm-hmm.
kind of motivators growing up, and he's got some sick tattoos.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a bunch of research on it, and people started saying like, "Well, you're not like directly speaking to me, but the conversation of like, well, you're a white guy getting tribal tattoos." You know, people started calling it like cultural appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that kind of goes into people's minds when they come in here, maybe looking for a Chinese tattoo or an Indian, whatever it is, and they're like not associated with that culture or religion? Like, is that something that people really consider, or is that kind of like thinking too far?
I feel like, I don't know, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I feel like it almost like doesn't count in tattooing, because you have so many people that like get Japanese traditional or that do Japanese traditional that aren't Japanese or Asian at all or anything like that. And so like as far as Polynesian, we actually have a guy here from Hawaii that does that will like listen to your life story and then freehand, and he knows what all the symbols mean and stuff like that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Dang,
Go
I
ahead
didn't
and
know he
book
did
me
that.
a session with him.
Yeah. Dude, he's amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend. So yeah, I feel like with tattooing, and and then people all over the world are getting American traditional that aren't American, or I'm assuming that I don't know, I feel like that's something that's less of a factor. You get all kinds of people getting kanji. That was a big thing in the early 2000s.
What is
Chinese lettering?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
I definitely thought about that, because the Japanese traditional really spoke to me when I was looking at tattoos. Like, I just love the way it like flows and how the water looks and the flowers and all that. I really liked it, but then kind of in the back of my mind, I had that self-conscious thought of like, yeah, I'm not Asian.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put it on me.
Step on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
Or be accused of cultural appropriation.
It just didn't feel right.
Right.
So.
Which I wonder, like, if you went to like a Japanese tattoo shop and there's like a bunch of like American stuff on there, like that would be such like a weird culture shock. People getting like Texas or guns and all this weird stuff.
Like tattoo styles are like universal. Like it's like, I mean, it's like a worldwide thing at this point, right? Like you're not going to go to one area and only have certain styles of tattoo available. Like everybody, like I know of this amazing Polish artist that freehands all of her stuff, and she does like dark Japanese black work.
Oh dang.
She's just like a little like
Sick.
redheaded artist, so I don't know. I think styles anymore, they're not like specific to any one area. I feel like people are getting into tattooing all over the world, and then everyone just has different stuff that they love and different stuff that they're drawn to and different stuff that they enjoy. And the style that you end up specializing in or liking, like, might not even be what you thought that you would enjoy or like or be drawn to starting out. It's just the application process and what you love about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you would tell someone to not worry about that, like the cultural lines, and
I would
like,
personally.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't see it being as big of a factor. But I don't know. I've never heard of it being an issue either. But
you could look at it in multiple ways too. Yeah. Like it's paying homage to the culture.
Yeah.
Like you love this culture so much, you're gonna get tatted on it. It's kind of like, dang, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You're supporting it.
Yeah. Well, especially if you like have done your research and you know the origins of the culture and the origins of like that tattoo style and stuff like that. I think that makes a big difference too, if you kind of know what you're getting.
True. Okay, so when someone comes in for a consultation, they show you a picture of whatever it could be, whatever they want. What's like the next step for you when you set the date, but then that time in between? What are you doing preparing for that tattoo? And how do you come up with the actual design?
Yeah, so I've found for me, as far as like my creative process, what works best for me is working under pressure. So I'm normally designing like either like the day before and then like finishing up like the morning of. is usually how I go about it. I feel like I work best that way.
Really?
I'm not overthinking. I'm just making decisions.
Yeah.
And then I'm making the right decisions as opposed to designing the week before, spending 4 hours and getting nothing done.
There's something to that.
Too. Yeah.
The procrastination of having like a date out ahead.
Right.
And you kind of build it up versus you could get it done
right.
More effectively in that time period right before.
Right. But I've been spending those few weeks or however long it's been like mentally processing through how I'm going to. So I already kind of know what I'm going to do or the way that I want it to look before I sit down to draw. So I've been working through all those problems in my mind the past weeks. But as far as the actual drawing, so that's why I tell people they don't see their design until the day of. There's multiple reasons for that. But part of it is that I do pretty much draw or design every single day. So I draw.
It's not feasible for that to happen.
I draw in order of the appointment that I have next.
Man, AI's got nothing on that.
No. You mentioned like the guy with the Polynesian who kind of asked about like your life's past and your life story. Do you kind of have like a set of questions that you kind of ask the person sitting in front of you to gain a little bit more about what they're thinking, or how maybe you can add a little bit more of like a personal touch to allow the tattoo to fit better? Or you just kind of, here's a design, I'm going to put it to work?
Yeah, again, I would think it would depend on the context because some people really, really, really know what they want before they even come to me. Or they'll have like something like sketched out or mapped out, or so some people are very specific with like what they want, the way that they want it to look. Other people, and this is something that's been kind of hard for me because I'm not the kind of person that like asserts my opinion on other people. Some people just need to be told what they want. And like told what looks nice. And sometimes if you give people too many options, it overwhelms them. So it really just depends on the person. With a consultation, it usually there's a starting point of like what they want, and then next question would be like, okay, do you have any references of like designs that you like or art that you like that kind of like fits the vibe of what you're going for? And then we would look at that together, and then asking what they do and don't like about the designs and elements that they want to incorporate. And then sometimes if it's necessary, I'll kind of like sketch out a little like sketch of like the body part that we're working with, and kind of like sketch like a little bit of like what the flow is going to look like, or if we want to put the flower here as opposed to here, or different stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
It's so interesting hearing the kind of
a tattoo now.
Yeah,
I'm feeling motivated.
They're contagious, dude.
Yeah.
They are addicting. You get one, the next one's coming soon. We kind of talked about AI a little bit. How is AI viewed in the tattoo industry, and are people kind of anti-AI, or are people accepting of AI and kind of tattoo generation?
Yeah, you kind of have a mix of both. First of all, like artistically, AI is problematic because it has used so many different artists' work to train itself, or whoever was training it, without the artist's consent. So they're basically ripping off people's art styles that they've been spending years like curating and developing, which is why the artists were so mad. Well, part of the reason when it first started. Yeah, so many people.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it was bad.
I didn't even think about that angle. Like it's really like the way it's designing its tattoo is based on all of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess someone could do that theoretically. Like go and look at all your stuff and then be like, okay, I want to design it like that. But the AI, it seems different with AI.
Yeah, I'm not sure about like how all that works, but that was the biggest issue, is that it was just completely and totally disrespectful to the artist, and if they like had stuff like copyrighted, like it just completely, they just stole a lot of people's stuff. So that is not good. In tattooing, I think you have a mix of both. You have people that are very against it, and then other people that see it as a tool. The thing with tattooing is this is an industry that develops so rapidly. I mean, you're seeing new things and new technology coming out all the time. Wireless machines haven't been around for a long time. The derm shield has not been around for a long time. It's the kind of thing that if you like don't adapt to new technology, like you end up getting left behind. So in regards to AI, I don't personally advocate for like generating your tattoo design, but then as a realism artist, there are some things that I need that I can't find on Google. So it's a really, really helpful resource as far as that. I can pull different things. So like I'll generate, if I want a specific landscape, I'll generate the specific landscape. So a lot of my designs are like Frankensteins of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different references, some from AI, some from Google, some from just different stuff that's kind of compiled together. So taking that and making it your own composition, I don't personally have a problem with. As far as like letting it do all the work for you, then at that point, you're not,
truly
being creative in your composition, and it's not your own art, right?
It's more of a business, maybe.
Yeah.
Just using it as a tool.
I mean, but then you have so many artists that just exclusively tattoo flash too. So there's also that.
Interesting.
Would you say, being in the tattoo community, like how would you kind of describe the tattoo community of the people in here putting in the work hours and hours on end? Like, you feel like you're a part of a family? Does it feel more professional, more formal?
Yeah, I can only speak to this shop specifically because it's the only one that I worked in. But yeah, it is definitely a community and kind of like a family environment. It's a really great place to learn, for one, because people have so many different specialties that when I was apprenticing, I apprenticed under Chucky, but I had everybody giving me like different tips and pointers and teaching me different stuff. So yeah, it is definitely more like a family collaborative environment. We really support each other a lot. And it's not like a competitive type environment too. Like, so with people getting set up with the right artist for their tattoo, it's not like people are like, oh, I'm trying to get this client, I'm trying to make money, so I'm going to take this piece even though so-and-so would be better suited to it.
That's tough.
Yeah.
To give up business but it's the right thing. It's kind of a, agreed upon thing in the shop.
Yeah. But we've been very fortunate that we've had enough clientele to be able to do that.
That's good.
What is the tattoo central, I guess, of the United States?
I don't know that there necessarily is one. I think anywhere that you have a lot of people, there's going to be really good tattoo artists. Dallas-Fort Worth has a huge tattoo scene of quite a few artists out here that are really, really, really well known, and shops that are really well known. If you go to like Chicago, you go to New York, like anywhere that you can think of that there's going to be a big population, there's going to be a good tattoo scene.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Going back to the community of this shop, it's really amazing. Just like coming in as a first time tattoo getter or whatever, just everyone comes up to you and asks you about like what you're getting. And I've never had anyone say like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like everyone, when they see a new tattoo, they're like, oh, that's sick. It's like everyone has the same response, but it is cool because it's an understanding of, even though I wouldn't get that tattoo, it's still like, it's awesome that you did, and that's what you like. And there's kind of that vibe in the shop, which is it's so cool and inviting.
It's very encouraging, the atmosphere in here, for sure.
Definitely.
Do you ever hear like conversations just when you're out and about of people like ever shitting on other people's tattoos? Because I feel like I hear that a lot, and you don't really know the decision-making process behind someone getting something like this, or even an emoji. And it's like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't get that myself. That looks stupid. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, that person made that choice. Like, I'm not going to shit on their decision-making. Like, is that something you feel like you hear a lot, or people talking that way?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I would say I've heard a lot of people be like, I don't know why anyone would want that. Like,
yes, that's exactly what they say.
Yeah, like I would say mostly like in like my mom's generation, like that's something I've heard from like my mom's friends and stuff like that.
She's not going to be able to get a job if she gets that tattoo.
Well, not that as much anymore. The culture's really changed. There's still definitely people out there like that, but I mean, it's almost not a factor for employment in most professions anymore. So, and I think even people that are in older generations, like I tattooed one of my really good friends who's 60, you know, and she spent hours and hours and hours with me in the chair. She got like 3 in like the span of a month. So yeah, the culture's definitely changed around it. But yeah, sometimes I do hear people say like, I don't know why anybody would want to get that tattooed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said it maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
But now I'm away from that mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good conversation so far.
I did have a few more questions. Let's see. Something that I thought of recently was like tattooing and like finding like your flow state. And so I tried to generate some interesting questions, and one of them was if tattoos had a soundtrack, or if your tattoos had a soundtrack while being done, what genre would match your style best?
Oh my gosh.
And why?
That's a really hard question.
First of all, your music taste is like, I've never heard this styles of music.
Really?
It's like, oh, Jack, you want to hear this new German
Yeah.
folk rapper? I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not even in English. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And it's good, but it's so like niche.
Does that play a role in
Which is cool.
like, I don't know, that may be too much of a out there question, but like, does music have an influence in like your tattoo making or your style?
I don't know. I don't think so. There's definitely stuff that I like to listen to when I'm making art. Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily. I will say though, when you're tattooing though, having music is helpful because it can help you stay on rhythm for your shading. So that's something that I was taught by Chucky. I don't know how common that is of like a technique. Chucky's a musician, but like to make a smooth shade, you need a rhythm, so you can match the rhythm in the song, and then it helps you keep your shading more consistent.
Yeah,
which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. If I were to try to pick like a genre or a vibe that matches my art, that would be hard, especially because I don't feel like I have outside of realism like a very specific like niche, or like brand, I guess, of what I do. But there's an artist, he's French, of course, named Igor, and it's like the most bizarre, like it's like Parisian Baroque grindcore death metal, like, but it sounds like, my sister says it sounds like an anxiety attack. But yeah, for whatever reason, it just like, I have ADHD, so it feels like it like matches and like calms my mind. Like it's a good I don't know, I guess, like,
no, I get that.
flow
I
state.
get that.
Nobody else in here likes it except for Chucky, but
Yeah, who gets dibs on the music, on the aux?
whoever is most assertive.
Okay.
So usually Kuda. Sometimes
Yeah.
if I get on, I don't get kicked off, but
That's funny.
that's rare.
You gotta have a good playlist set up.
Yeah.
It's also distracting for the, in a good way, for the person getting tattooed.
Yeah.
Like when there's no music or they switch the music and it's quiet.
All you're hearing
painful.
is the buzzing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then mouth starts to water, start to sweat.
yeah.
Yeah, what, I guess, if someone was to have a bad reaction, or they're struggling, like, are they getting nauseous? Are they feeling lightheaded? Is it like I can't even put myself in that position because I haven't felt that, but what is kind of the worst case of someone not being able to handle a tattoo?
Yeah, they in like those situations, like people like throwing up or passing out or being lightheaded, usually it's a blood sugar issue.
Yeah.
So
I'm
usually
very familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually they just haven't eaten before, so that's why we have like all the snacks and the drinks in the back, is mostly for like clients if they haven't. I mean, you need fuel.
Definitely.
Yeah, your body's going through a lot. And
I
then,
felt that way for sure. The last time, or
Yeah.
2 tattoos ago, I didn't eat. I ate lunch, maybe like 10, and then I didn't eat, and it was like 3 or 4. And I was like,
It's like,
I'm
not
about
feeling
done here.
good.
Yeah, and then you'll eat and
Heart
you'll get like a
starts
second
pumping
wind.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But what other reactions would someone have that would be worst case scenario?
Um.
I've
Say,
seen like the muscle contractions.
Yeah, the muscle spasms.
Is that like if?
That's very normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's normal.
it's just like your nerves reacting to the needle.
Is there like a medical questionnaire, like coming into a consultation of like, hey, you got a history of heart attacks, or, I don't
Do you have
know,
AIDS?
stroke? Yeah, or
Yeah, on
blood
the
test or something?
No, I mean nothing like that, but on the paperwork they sign off like letting us know, or sign off saying that they don't have any of these medical conditions, or they'll let us know if they do. So like a big one is like bloodborne pathogens. We know we need to be like extra careful
Yeah.
if somebody does know that they have something like that. Have
you tattooed anyone with a bloodborne pathogen?
Not that I know of. And I really respect people when they are really honest about it. But when
Yeah.
I was an apprentice, I was doing paperwork for somebody. They're like, oh, I do have this. I was like, okay, just let your artist know. And then you just know to be careful. So
Interesting.
Do you
Yeah.
guys tattoo genitalia? Is that a request?
I do not personally, but Rocky does.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I hope he comes in.
Yeah.
He's a crazy guy.
Yeah, he if the price is right, yeah, he'll tattoo.
You charge a premium for that.
Yeah, no,
type
you
of
do.
work.
You charge a handling fee.
Oh. You got to probably be pretty limited on what you can do down there.
I wouldn't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird game right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Someone
thank
might
you.
like paying too much. They're coming in for that.
Yeah. No, you definitely have to kind of like vet people every once in a while. You'll get people that, yeah.
Like some weirdos or.
Yeah. Like we had this guy one time, again, this was in my apprenticeship, that just wanted to be like stabbed with the needle in the bottom of his foot with like no ink. We're like, yeah, that's not that's not something we do
jeez.
here. Sorry.
To like get off on, I guess, or like.
I don't know.
What? That
I
is
don't
bizarre.
know what the motivations were. So, yeah, every once in a while you do get some interesting characters for sure.
So what's next for you in the tattoo game, Jules?
Yeah, well, I have the Sinners Tattoo Expo coming up in about a month, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
So I have a bunch of logistical stuff to get ready for that, like ordering more business cards and stuff. And then, yeah, I feel like where I'm at trajectory wise is just trying to consistently like improve my fundamentals and my techniques and get more efficient. That's a big one too. And just try to push this as far as I possibly can.
That's awesome.
Mm.
You got some more questions?
I got an interesting one.
Okay.
Which historical figure do you think would have been covered in tattoos if they lived today?
Ooh, that's really
Could be
hard.
anyone.
Okay.
Good question.
I'm thinking about mine.
I
I
think
feel
like presidents.
I'm thinking like Abraham
Probably
Lincoln,
not.
like
Yeah.
a neck tattoo coming up.
You think so?
I don't know.
Yeah.
When did? Yeah, I guess the history of tattooing. When did it first kind of start? I feel like it's been around for hundreds of years
Right.
in different
Has to have
methods,
been,
but
yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's ancient
yeah.
for sure.
I guess you can't really know where did it start. I feel like I've heard it started in China. Is that kind of where it started?
You can maybe think like Native.
Well, and
Native
then you have like the
Americans, maybe?
Polynesian islands,
Yeah.
and like cultures that were isolated at one point in time. Like it's just, as far as I know,
Yeah.
but didn't they just find like a mummy or something that was like frozen in ice that had tattoos?
What?
Oh my
I'm pretty sure
gosh.
that was a thing.
Let's
Don't quote me
not
on that.
unbreak that out of the ice.
Yeah.
Keep him in there.
Yeah.
So you got the conference coming up. What's your like best case scenario for the conference, and kind of what's your mindset heading into a tattoo conference?
Yeah, so I wanted to stay local this year specifically because I don't know a lot of the local tattoo artists in Dallas-Fort Worth. So best case scenario, I think, would just be good networking. But then you also meet people too. I mean, this is going to be a big expo, so we're going to have people that are coming from all over the country. Might have people that are like international. If you can like make friends and make connections, you potentially have places to guest spot when you travel, which is awesome.
Dang.
Yeah, so that would probably be the biggest thing. It's just networking, and I feel like after every time I go to a convention, I come back so inspired and so like ready to work hard and like try new things
Yeah.
and different stuff like that.
That's
So,
awesome.
So
yeah.
you could just go like you build some of those connections. Someone's got a shop in Boston, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go up to Boston, and you could go like tattoo there for a day if you wanted to. That'd be pretty crazy.
Technically, you don't even have to know people beforehand. You can sometimes just like travel and take your portfolio and show up. I would like to know people beforehand, but that's not necessarily required.
That seems like such a cool way to like see the country.
Yeah.
Or even like outside of the country.
Yeah, so that's a goal of mine too, is to be doing more traveling and guest spotting. But yeah, just being a newer artist, it's still like different every time I'm outside of my home studio where I'm comfortable. So just kind of like
Oh yeah.
building up that confidence and different stuff. But yeah, that is a goal. Like within the next couple of years, I'm hoping to do more of that.
Nice.
Is there such a position as like a mobile tattoo person where like if they had like a van and they have all their equipment and they're just stopping somewhere and do like pop-up tattoo stuff? Would that ever be possible? Or is that like illegal?
That's a good question. I've heard, I think, of people that have had studios and bands. I think that's a thing. I've also known of artists that don't have a home studio and they just do conventions exclusively. So there's also that. There's people who just travel full time.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about how social media has impacted tattoo artists.
Yeah, that's a big one. Well, first of all, if you're not on it, you don't exist. So that's probably my least favorite part of my job. I will say it's a very small price to pay to do what I love, but it's not my favorite part of it. You see so many people, like the people that do well on social media are like doing crazy things for reels. They're following all the trends. They're using all the trending audio. It's like a whole other full-time job. Also, if you do have a business account, the algorithm doesn't really help you be seen. Like they're wanting you to pay for ads and stuff like that, right? So you can have like 10,000 followers and 500 people are seeing your posts depending on the algorithm and different stuff like that. So I know Instagram specifically has gotten really difficult to have your stuff seen more recently, like in the past year or so. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I don't think many people necessarily enjoy it. You know, we're artists, we're not content creators. So but you kind of have to do both.
Yeah, I could see how that gets really old quick, because it's like it kind of takes you out of your whole artistic mindset, and you have to business this and kind of like be disciplined about making a reel or typing a caption. I can see how that gets old quick.
It's a whole other job, especially if you are doing reels and doing all the editing and doing all the recording, and which is something I need to do better at for sure. But it's a whole other job on top of your full-time job.
I guess it just takes one reel, I guess, if it pops, and then your phone blows up full of people.
That's true.
We'll have to drop your Instagram handle, get the viewers looking at your artwork out there.
We have a mostly male audience. So get ready for some guys to come in.
What would you say is like maybe one of the most misunderstood things when it comes to tattoo artists?
I think there's a lot of, and again, this is getting better because the culture is changing. But I think there's a lot of stigma about the types of people that tattoo artists are. I don't know, like 20, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, as bikers and sailors and gang members. And it was just kind of a rougher scene, or is associated with being a rougher scene. It was also, like historically has been like mostly like countercultural people, or people who are like kind of misfits in mainstream society. So I think there is that kind of that stigma about like the types of people that tattooers are. But now there's so many people that are very different kinds of people working in the tattoo industry. So you really can't put any person in a box. We're all unique and different types of people, different art styles, different everything.
Yeah, because I kind of remember our parents saying that, just you associate tattoos with bad people. It seems like every villain in every TV show, every movie, every book, whatever, has a tattoo. And so there's like an association from a very young age that tattoo is bad. And you get a tattoo, you're not going to get a job and all these different things. And so, that is interesting because, you think tattoos, emo, dark, biker, gang member, all this stuff. When a lot of it's just like your average everyday goer, the people you're standing next to at the bus stop. That is definitely pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's like a weird conversation where people, maybe more religious people, will say like your body's your temple. You know, like why would you do something so bad to your body and like mark it up and things like that? What do you kind of think about that mindset, and how do you view that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, it depends on which religion you're talking about. Because if you're talking about like Christianity specifically, I think it kind of like merged with the American culture of like, tattoos equate like moral
bad
failure or something. But there is a part in the Bible, it's in Leviticus, that talks about like not marking or tattooing your skin. But that's one of those things that was like culturally was written to the Israelites specifically because of the culture that was surrounding them at the time, as a pagan culture that used tattooing in their like their worship and their ceremonies. So it was like specifically written to Israel. So that like is not something that has cultural relevance today.
Yeah.
So yeah, there, and also like, you know, I grew up in church, so there was a lot of that. People were like, oh, you can't go into tattooing, you shouldn't, like tattoos are bad and all this stuff. It was very stigmatized. But I pretty much, I don't know if it's because now I am a tattoo artist and people don't want to like hurt my feelings or something, but like I haven't encountered that in years.
That's good.
In church. If you like go to my church, like most of our pastors are pretty heavily tattooed and stuff like that.
Dang.
So that cultural prejudice, I think, is going away in Christianity too. It, of course, depends on, you know, the denomination and the different subcultures and different things within Christianity. But that's something that is getting more and more accepted. Also, like alternative subculture, way more mainstream now than it was even like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I would always hear that and I'd question myself, like, why did I put my body through this pain and mark it up? But I don't view it as kind of like doing bad for my body, even though it hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful just to have like a piece of timeless art on my body.
Yeah.
And it's sick. I
You're
love it.
Customizing your temple.
Yeah. let's trademark that.
What do you think the percentage of people who are tattooed nowadays is?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even be able to guess. I feel like it's more uncommon to not have any tattoos anymore.
Yeah.
Dang, really?
I feel like I get that a lot where it's like people, I mean, I see so many people that have tattoos.
At least one.
Yeah. And whether, you know, it's one thing like when you're looking for people that have tattoos, your eye's going to find it. But even people that I interact with, they're surprised that I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah.
They're like,
wow.
And I'm just like, really? And they're like, yeah, like everyone has a tattoo. Like you look like someone who would have a tattoo. It's like, well, fuck you.
Hey, that's a compliment anymore, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the nice little thigh tattoo.
Oh yeah. I can
Would
see
it?
your thumb.
Okay. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier before we started filming. The hair. People who are super hairy. Is it harder to tattoo on them because things grow back or there's more stubble? Does that really matter because you're going to shave it regardless?
Yeah, I'd say it's not as big of an issue because you are going to shave it. But you'll see a lot of people, like even men that are heavy tattoo collectors, they will shave whatever areas they have tattooed because your heel tattoos look better without hair
Yeah.
than they do with it.
So would you advocate that for me, for example? I'm a pretty hairy guy. So like if I got a big thigh tattoo, if I kept my hair on it, it would kind of block some of the tattoo and let it shine. So it would be better for me to just shave it all.
Or just get something really bold that's really legible with or without the hair. Like if you were to get like my thigh tattoos, like some of those like subtle details would be lost.
Yeah.
If you're going to get something super soft. But I think if you got something bolder, you'd probably be fine.
That's a good consideration. I didn't even think about.
You want to hold my hand when I get my tattoo?
Oh, you're solo dolo.
Yeah.
Bring a belt to chew on.
Yeah. Do people get like fucked up before they come in here sometimes? Like where they're getting stoned or getting drunk to kind of help alleviate maybe some of the anxiety or some of the, you know, the future pain that they're going to be dealing with? Is that pretty common?
Definitely a lot of people getting stoned. I feel like people getting drunk is more common if you're in a studio that's open like to like midnight or 2 a.m. But we also do have the option to not tattoo drunk people if they're like intoxicated to a point. Then it's almost like not super ethical.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the discretion of the artist too, whether or not they feel right about that. I've tattooed a drunk person once, but he was in a group of sober friends. So I think he had gotten drunk for the tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew that, you know, they were going to keep an eye on him and stop him from doing anything that he regretted. If they're good friends. So, yeah.
How would you, you know, what tips would you give to someone who's about to get a tattoo and they're kind of worried about the pain of it?
Yeah, so the biggest things are to be rested and hydrated and having eaten. Like, I cannot stress enough how big a deal it is to eat before you get tattooed. But then also, too, like, of course, tattoos hurt, especially depending on where you get them and how long you sit and stuff like that. But in general, the pain is very tolerable. Like, it's not going to make you cry, probably, depending on your pain tolerance. It's more like uncomfortable and annoying than it is anything else, especially if you're only sitting for an hour or two. It's not anything, like, it's not excruciating pain.
Yeah, and there's breaks in between.
Right.
And there's almost like you kind of get used to the rhythm of it, where it's like tattoo for like 2 or 3 seconds and then it comes off. And you kind of like time your breaths to it in a weird way.
Yeah.
But
that's a good coping skill. I hadn't thought of that.
There's something like beautiful to it where it's like, you know, you're saying it doesn't hurt. It hurts. It hurts bad. But it's kind of a different, it's not like an acute, like you just broke your leg pain.
Right.
But it's like, it's like a steady dull pain that builds up over time, especially if you get tired or like the spots, you know, like.
Right. Well, it does hurt really bad when you're doing full color realism on the leg, you know, like at that point.
So the colors hurt more because you have to like drill them in more?
Yeah, it's a different
versus
application
black and white
technique. Yeah. Black and gray is more like surfacey, like you're kind of like brushing the needle over the skin, versus with color, we call it saturating. You're in the skin and you're staying in the skin. You're not getting breaks from the needle. So yeah, no, they can definitely hurt really, really bad if you're doing full like collector type work like you are. But think about like a small like black and gray like banger, and you're in and out in 30 minutes. In general, it doesn't hurt that bad. But if you're like, doing full color realism on the ribs, that's going to hurt really, really, really badly. So it does depend on what you get, who's tattooing you, where you get it, how long you're sitting. All of that are factors.
Interesting.
I don't think I have a high pain tolerance. I think
most men don't.
Yeah, I don't think. I feel like that would be a tough thing for me to kind of sacrifice myself through.
Yeah.
Didn't you tattoo one of your clients got like a sternum piece?
Yeah, she did great.
She did great.
Yeah, I've had
these women are insane.
Really, really tough clients for sure. Yeah.
There is what I was trying to make a point earlier, but like the pain of it's like kind of a necessary thing. It's like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Like for how beautiful the art is, you're gonna have to go through something kind of painful to get it.
You feel like you earned it.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Yeah.
And then you see someone else with the tattoo, you're like, yeah, they've been through it too.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. Like, oh yeah, what's up, bro?
I was in Central Market a couple weeks ago, and this guy like pointed at my leg. He goes, "Respect." It's like, hey man, you too.
Is branding something that any tattoo shops do?
Possibly. I don't know of any. So tattooing is like the vanilla of body modification, and then if you get like past that, you get into like implants, scarification, branding.
Scarification?
It's like removing the skin in specific patterns to get pretty scars out of it, essentially. Yeah, so I've seen people that do branding. I know that a lot of heavy body modification is illegal in Texas. I'm not sure the details of all of that. Our piercer would be the one to ask about that kind of stuff.
Like branding like a cow brand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the back?
Right on the
people do it. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
People do it for sure.
Hey, no judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you can endure that, then you might as well. Well, that's super big within like fraternities.
The brands.
Yeah, I know like a lot of the HBCU fraternities, like Omega Psi, and they get those, upside down kind of horseshoes or whatever on the shoulder, and
it's crazy.
I don't understand how someone could do that.
It'd be over quicker than a tattoo.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Deal with it real quick.
Yeah.
If there was one tattoo that you could only tattoo for the rest of your life, what do you think that would be?
I think like surrealistic portraits.
Okay.
If I could do faces, I think I'd really enjoy that. Or animals too. I don't know. That's hard. Yeah.
Maybe an animal person hybrid.
Oh yeah. Could do that.
Furry.
Yeah. Oh, she's
a furry.
Thanks, Jules, for letting us come in here and chat you up on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Good episode, yeah.
If someone out there watching wants to become a tattoo artist, what do you tell them?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, the apprenticeship is the best route to take. It's going to be the fastest. You technically can learn at home on YouTube. I don't recommend it, especially if you start working with people. You don't know if you're cross-contaminating. You don't know if you're spreading diseases. You don't know if you're causing permanent scarring. The apprenticeship is the way to go. And the way to make it through is just to want it more than anything else. Like, to be willing to do whatever it takes to get there and to keep trying, even if you have doors shut and even if you have to start over. So yeah, the first thing too would be to be able to draw well. And people think that art is either something that you have or you don't. That's not true. It is 100% something that can be taught and learned and mastered and practiced, just like anything else. Learning an instrument, playing a sport, however much time you put into it is going to determine, what skill level you get to. So yeah, being able to draw well, putting together a good portfolio, researching the shops that you're interested in your area, and then just showing up and not taking no for an answer until you get there.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Put that work in.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, guys.